Hello, we are the Roving Gophers at the University of Minnesota. I'm Tony.
I'm Ashton.
I'm Jasmine.
We also have Esther on our team, but she is unable to make it today. Same with Rory. The goals of the mission were to explore an unknown, dark, and lunar simulated environment with a weight, budget, and timeline restriction. Our goal was ultimately to transmit as much data as we could about the environment through sensor units. Our idea to solve this was to incorporate existing components that originally came with the project, but also to develop and improve on them. At the end, we were able to create 2 working mobile sensor units.
Here are those 2 units. As you can see, the unit on the left has a bigger rover so that we were able to get up the incline. And this is a quick diagram of our power distribution system with a 3.7 to 5 volt power boost on the right. And here is a quick picture of our central unit. We originally were given a GLEAM unit with 2 XPs for the central unit, but we decided to try and cut down to 1. This required that we rewrote the whole code base and also gave us the disadvantage of not being able to send and receive strings as quick.
This is our org chart for the event day. We had 2 pilots and 1 main computer, and then 2 extras for helping. And this is a quick picture of our ground station. We have 2 potentiometers to change the angle of the servos, and then 1 XP for communicating. And then this is just a snippet of our total mass and our total cost.
First video here will be showing the lower level exploration, but more importantly, this is the rover unit. And we start off over on the top right of the room, top of the room, top left, if we were looking at it from the entryway, and the rover unit's kind of just scavenging the lower level just to see what we can find out about the lower level as much as we can before we proceed to new environments. As you can see on this ramp here, we see different colors, maybe simulating different types of terrain up the ramp. And it comes back to the start to get a better look at the central unit and the tank unit. We had a little snippet of a part of a tower-like structure on the ground. We did not know at the time what it was, but we also didn't realize it was part of the environment. We also got a little snippet at the end here of some rocks. We thought they might simulate like a obstruction, and they're jagged and cream-like color. Here's another angle of those rocks in the lower level with the rover unit. Here's another good look at the ramp as well. Here's the rover unit trying to explore the cave a bit more. As we said, we wanted to explore as much of the lower level as we could before we started proceeding upwards. At the time, we did not think that the rover unit would fit inside of the cave with the height restrictions. After reviewing the footage, we were able to determine that it would have fit, but it did not seem that, and it made it inside, but it did not seem that way when we were actually exploring it. As you can see on the right side, there's also some debris here that we discovered.
They seem to be a smooth, darkish gray colored rock.
Here's us trying to get inside of it, inside of the cave, unsuccessfully, because we did not want it to get stuck or to lose the camera. The rover unit is now trying to get a better angle inside of the cave. And when it does, we are able to see two distinct objects that stuck out of the sand. We think they're reflective, so we think they're tinfoil or some sort of other reflective objects. This looked like a seashell from what we can see, but we don't know exactly what it is. This is the video we got from the tank unit trying to spot the rover unit. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get that great of footage because the servo on the tank unit was freaking out.
We also originally didn't understand how much of an advantage it would be to be able to see our other rover while it was moving with a different rover.
At the end, when we found out that the tank unit was immobilized for an unknown reason, we deployed the party lights on the NeoPixel light ring. This is a better view of the ramp on the rover unit. As you can see up here, we have a little structure, as it seems like, on top of the plateau after we get up the ramp. Here's the final footage from the rover unit as it tries to make its way up the ramp. Our thoughts when we were running through this scenario was we tried multiple different approaches getting up and holding down. As you can see, we were kind of slipping back down after releasing it because we did not want to send it up too fast. But ultimately, we had to decide to hold down on the throttle just to get up the ramp. At the end here, you can see a little mesa with an object on top of it, as well as a green-like object that was seen in the last footage that was on top.
Here's our attempt at using the size of the rover to actually find out measurements of different items. If we would have known about this beforehand, we would have been able to use it properly in order to find out different dimensions of a bunch of different things in there.
Here's our drawing and final prediction of the environments. As you can see, we started on the left-hand picture. We started off where it says start, and the rover unit started making its way to the top and to the right of this image and went over to the rock area. And then we started proceeding back past the ramp and to the cave area and explored as much as we could there. Inside of the cave, we were able to find what was labeled right there. And when we proceeded up the ramp, we noticed that there was different outlines of where the actual ramp was. And then when we made it on top of the ramp, we saw the mesa on the other side, which was inaccessible by the rovers.
Here's a shot of the data that we collected. It wasn't as useful as we thought because it wasn't able to be time-stamped, and the data flow wasn't consistent since our XPs weren't able to work right, and they had such a delay in between them. And we found out that there was a range problem in there that didn't come up in our testing. So this data is ultimately kind of useless, but it was very good to try out.
Some of the challenges we had, as mentioned before, were tank mobility. The tank treads were not very good on the surface that was in the room. We had connections or difficulty with the central unit connections during exploration and getting useful data from the sensors since we were constantly turning the units on and off. Future changes, we would not use a tank as a vehicle. We would try to get a similar unit to the rover just so it would have more mobility. And then we would do much more testing before the exploration just so we could find any future problems before that happens on exploration day, and to learn more about the LiDAR unit we chose because we didn't have enough time to do that before the exploration, so we didn't really use it.
Thank
These
you
are
to James Glenn, Gabe Hollum, Thelma Burko, and Paul Wheeling for helping us out throughout this project.